Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2023 horror film The Pope's Exorcist. The film is directed by Julius Avery and it stars Russell Crowe, Daniel Zovatto, Alex Esco and Franco Nero. Right, the film is actually, it says, inspired by the actual files of Father Gabriel Amorth, who is played by Russell Crowe, who was the chief exorcist of the Vatican. And it essentially follows him as he is assigned a case in Spain. There is a family who have moved there from the US to claim the property that has been left to them. But unfortunately, this property comes with a very, very dark past that has a direct connection to the church. And there is something unleashed when they get to this house that takes over the mother's son, Henry. Word of this gets back to the Vatican, and they assign Russell Crowe's character, Father Gabriel Amorth, who is, as I mentioned, the chief exorcist of the Vatican. He gets out there and discovers that not only is this possession real, but there is a real danger that there is a dark past of the church being revealed, and this entity within this child has got a personal interest in the Russell Crowe's character. Right. What are my thoughts on The Pope's Exorcist? Well, I was interested in seeing this for a few reasons, really. I mean, number one, I'm right in thinking this is Russell Crowe's first horror, certainly from memory anyway. I like Exorcist type films, possession type films, especially when they're done with a decent amount of polish and things like that. I could usually find them quite entertaining. And I have to be honest, this one is no exception. This is exactly what I expected it to be, or hoped it to be, is what I mean to say, I suppose. Is it fairly predictable? Yes, I guess it is. Does it remind you of possession films that have come before? Yes, very much so. It kind of comes from the same playbook as many of those. But as I've mentioned, I think the high levels of polish that this film's got and the central performance by Russell Crowe, I think, elevate this to something a little bit different. Now, as I said, does it borrow heavily from possession films that have come before? And yes, it borrows heavily from a few different ones. But also, I think borrows quite heavily from a fairly recent one that I watched. I think it was last year, and that was The Exorcism of God. Now, The Exorcism of God was a really over-the-top possession film that just didn't pull any punches or take any prisoners, and it was very, very good. I really enjoyed it. And this is very much like that in a sense of the motivations for the demon, but also the fact that the last act of the film is joyously over the top. Complete twaddle, but really enjoyable stuff. Sometimes you'll watch these possession films and they fizzle out. They'll go for a really grounded and realistic approach. Well, I'm sorry, but this is a horror and it's a possession film. There's no grounded realism about it, really. Let's just, try and scare the pants off us if you can. And this film really goes for it in the final act. But that's not to say that the acts coming before it weren't engaging and interesting, because I actually think they were very good, and I do think the film is quite nicely paced. There's like this investigation going on in the background. So you've got this child that's possessed, and the scenes with the interactions with this child are really good and engaging and interesting to watch. But then you've got this whole mystery surrounding this possession and the location that they're at, and it's almost like, they have to become almost like archaeologists to kind of solve this riddle, and it uncovers like some really dark truths about the church centuries ago that is directly connected to this possession. And that was all quite fun and interesting as well. And that, if not done properly, could have really slowed the film down and made it, a bit of a slogfest, I suppose. But I actually quite thought it. I actually thought it was all quite interesting. You know, the story, the mystery, the investigation, and then on top of that, you've got Russell Crowe. Now, I think it's fair to say that the last 2-3 years or so, Russell Crowe has, I don't know, made some questionable choices in regards to the films that he's been doing, and not all of them have been cinema releases. It's really nice to see Russell Crowe front and centre again in a cinema-released film where he can remind everybody that he's a damn good actor, because he's fab in this film. He's really, really good. He's playing this priest, this Father Gabriel Amorth, who's got this really unique personality and a real, mischievous sense of humour. He really humanises him, but at the same time, you also get the feeling you're in no uncertain terms the fact that he absolutely will fight to his last breath, in the word of God, sort of thing. And you get all of that. You get all that confidence in Russell Crowe's performance, the lightness when he needs to be, the compassion, the passion and the aggression. He shows it all when he needs to, and I think this is arguably one of the finest Russell Crowe performances I've seen for a number of years. And he does this really fun Italian accent as well. I'm not Italian. I couldn't tell you if it's authentic. It sounded authentic. He speaks Italian in the film. And it felt like a really good performance to me from Russell Crowe. And then everybody else surrounding him as well gives really, really fine performances. It really makes the film feel like there are some real stakes here. And like I said, the final act, you really are like, how on earth is he going to get away with this? How is he going to, banish this demon, sort of thing? So I as a possession film, I think it's nicely done. I quite enjoyed it. I came out and I couldn't really give you any massive negatives here. I'm sure there are some that would watch this and think it's too similar to what we've seen before. It borrows heavily from things we've seen before, and it gets a little bit silly in the final act. But that's part of the joy for me for this film. So that's why I've scored it the way I have, an 8 out of 10, because I was quite charmed by this film. I thought it was a good possession film, and I like it when they're done pretty well as well. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget, I will be back on the channel with plenty more reviews and content very, very soon.